Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome into the channel. My name is Brett with Invested on the Go. Today we're covering the topic of living out of a brokerage account. How much does $1,000 invested into TSPY pay in dividends, and also $100,000? So in today's video, number one, we're going to go ahead and cover the market news. I know Google and Amazon just released earnings this week, so we'll go ahead and chat about that and take a look at the market as a whole, falling off a cliff here into Friday, the 6th of February, 2026. We're going to go ahead and be using Robinhood. We invested $1,000 into TSPY, and we're going to be using Fidelity, where we invested $100,000 into TSPY, near market highs. How many dividends do we receive on a monthly basis? So with that said, if you guys are brand new here to the channel, I would really appreciate if you go down below, smash that subscribe, smash that thumbs up. It really helps me out. Also, check out the pinned comment down below. There is a link to join my Discord server, completely free. I post in there every single week, so if you guys would like to chat, I like to post in there occasionally what is going on out there in the market that I'm taking a look at or buying. So definitely join the Discord server. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into the market news, which is pretty negative right now. There's a big clash between earnings and expectations, along with capex spending on AI. So AI, here we go. It says the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq are pulling back as investors realize that AI wins come with massive price tags, massive capex spending across the board. Not just last week that we saw with Microsoft, Tesla. Tesla was doubling their capex for spending on AI. This week we had Google come out with beating expectations, but the stock fell down 4% and continue to fall down even more today after hours. Amazon just released earnings, and they're basically did what Microsoft did last week. They fell off a cliff. We'll go ahead and chat and take a look at their performance here over on TradeView as well. Now, besides earnings and expectations and excessive spending on capex, what else is out there that's affecting the market? Well, not so much the government shutdown itself. That's happened in the past for over 30 days, and it didn't really affect the market going down as a whole. But there are still concerns out there, such as the jobless claim rise. There was expected 210,000. There was 231,000 jobless claims that hit this morning. That is kind of signaling to the labor market is beginning to fold and soften faster than the Fed is expecting. So while they were not expecting to cut rates here early on in the next few months, I think it was June, July, they were expecting to potentially have their first rate cut. That might come sooner than later, depending on how it all plays out. We've seen a lot of companies, I believe it was Amazon, laying off thousands of individuals out there. So we'll see how it all plays out. I don't think it's going to end well, but we'll see. S&P 500 we saw go down 1.25% today, massive. After hours, it's down an additional 0.6%. So it's really testing some lows right now. It's even below down here. So if we go back here, there was a gap up between Wednesday, Thursday that took place back here from Wednesday, December 17th into Thursday, December 18th. We're basically testing December's very lows of the market. So that's going to be a big thing that opens up tomorrow. Are we going to hold fast at this price point of around 672, 673? Or are we going to continue falling off a cliff, and who knows where the market will go on from there, right? I think we may have a bit of a bounce into Friday. Maybe there'll be some news with Iran that takes place between Friday and over the weekend. Who knows? At the moment, that's not the priority. The priority right now is not looking at your portfolio, continuing to dollar cost average. You're down hundreds or thousands or several $1,000s in your portfolio. It can be really easy to just hit that sell button, but you really do not know where the bottom is at this point. Right now, we broke through several support layers, and we're hitting another support layer here within the 672 $671 point. If tomorrow Friday opens, we are able to come down, softly bounce, and make some travel back over 680. We could find some support within this range, but who really knows? Now let's go ahead and take a look at Google, which reported earnings here yesterday. Prior to earnings, Google actually ran up. Earnings release, they fell back down. They had a gap down. They tried to come up here during the day and didn't quite make it, so they sold off. Ended down for the day by 0.6, sold off an additional 2% after hours. Google and Amazon having higher than expected capex, and going into 2026 with higher capex expected. Not doing well for them. As I said, Amazon just released earnings after hours and they missed on expectations. So during the day, they lost 4.42% on the day. After hours, they fell an additional 9% right now. We can see shares fell. This is showing 7.7%, but it's actually down 9.15% right now as I'm looking at the market. So it's a bloody mess out there. So that's not what I want to highlight and look at because it can be very negative to be viewing and looking at the earnings and looking at your portfolio and seeing all that red. So instead, what we're going to be focusing on is how much, if you invested into TSPY, would you get if you invested $1,000? So jumping into number 2, over at Robinhood, I went ahead and invested $1,000 into TSPY back on January 20th, 2026. We invested $1,000 into TSPY. That netted us 39.556962 shares at an average price of $25.28. I went ahead and kept the holding in there from the 20th of January up until today, ex dividend, which was February 2nd, and it paid out on February 4th. This is another big test for me, was testing Robinhood. How accurate, how fast not only do we hit ex dividend, do we receive our payments? And it received it and paid out just fine. So yesterday on the 4th, on Wednesday, I received $11.87 from my $1,000 investment into TSPY. So here's my initial amount that I invested, $1,000. I picked up that 39.556962 shares of TSPY. They paid out $11.87. That means that per share, they paid out 30 cents per share. So that was awesome. And I'm also doing another test with Robinhood right now. We're going to be making some new Robinhood videos, one of which is, can I pay my Fidelity credit card using my Robinhood individual account? That's all in the process right now of creating that video. Once the payment goes through and I can see that, yes, hey, I was able to pay my credit card down using my individual account from Robinhood, then I might do a bit of a migration from Fidelity over to Robinhood, because now that I've tested, Robinhood is able to do fine with the ex dividend. They pay out at a reliable time. And if I could use the cash within the account to pay down credit card, then that is awesome. Once I get my Robinhood Gold card, which gets 3% cash back, then we're going to be continuing to migrate over to Robinhood for that 3% cash back versus the Fidelity 2% cash back. So definitely stay tuned for that if you guys are interested in those topics. Subscribe, smash that bell to be notified when we begin releasing videos on that topic. Now, the big thing here is talking about our Fidelity account. As you know, we have over $100,000 invested over at Fidelity within TSPY, and that is down massively as of market close on Thursday. Our TSPY position is down 4.86%. And you might be saying, hey, why is this position down so much when the S&P 500 itself, if we take a look at TSPY, and even if we bought at all-time highs, let's go ahead and pick all-time highs and we drag it down to where it closed, that's only down 2.93%. Well, I made a video here recently back in January, for my January recap. I tried to sell and buy back in, missed my sell, and ended up buying higher. So that's why I'm down much more than where I should normally be. So don't do what I did, but it's fine. We'll recover that in the future. I'm not so, it hurts, but it's not such as a big deal at the moment. It is down $4,981.78 as a whole right now. But as I said, we're focusing on just continuing to stay invested, especially with volatility as much as it is over these past few days. Just as fast as it can fall, it can recover. So the moment that you sell, you locked in those losses, and the moment it begins ticking up, it could rapidly tick up just as it did to me. It could leave you behind very, very quickly. So in these days where the market is moving so quickly, it's best to just kind of sit tight, wait it out, dollar cost average. So let's go ahead and talk on the topic of dividends. So we had $102,694,000 invested into TSPY. That bought us 3,948 shares based on the ex dividend that took place on the 3rd of February, which was just on Tuesday, right? So it had a quick turnaround. Boom. Ex dividend was Tuesday on February 3rd, 2026. They paid out 30 cents per share. That was paid out on the 4th. So boom, right? Ex dividend hit on Tuesday. We got paid out on the 4th, which was Wednesday. That capital was received within our account. And here's that dividend right here. So based on our initial value of 102,694, there's our base shares, 3,948 at a share payout of 30 cents. We received that full dividend payout of $1,172.95. Now, going into February, I've already paid off my mortgage this month for going into February. I already paid off my credit card balance down to 0. I do have my car that is coming out of this account within a couple days, but we have an excessive amounts of capital that was left over. And here we are in the market that is actually much lower than we initially bought into. So not only are we going to be funding this portfolio with some more capital, but we also have dividends on the side that we're going to be able to push in back into the market and buy back more shares at a lower price. So definitely stay tuned for our weekend video because we are going to be doing some buys within TSPY and TDAC and hopefully picking up some good amount of shares at this lesser price. Let me know down in the comment section below, are you guys holding any of the NEOS funds, the TAP Alpha funds, some of these new funds out there? Let me know down in the comment section below. So I believe that's essentially all that we're going to go ahead and cover in this video.